Let's jump into Visual Studio and create a new class. We know that we need a project for our class to live inside of, and this time instead of creating a console application that just runs on the command line, let's create a WPF application, a Windows Presentation Foundation application. This is a window that'll run on the user's desktop. Visual Studio will create everything I need to get started, giving me a few files. I'm going to go ahead and press F5 to run this project in the debugger, and you'll see that we get a big blank empty window. We can change that easily. Now we're going to focus on classes and not so much on WPF, but I'll show you just a few things. This is a design surface. If I open up the toolbox, I can find a lot of controls that I can put on that design surface. I'm going to create take a text block from the toolbox, click and drag that here on the design surface, and that gives me a place where I can display text, display a string. On the lower half of the screen here is the XML representation of this UI. This is an XML in a specific dialect called XAML, Extensible Application Markup Language. And there's our text block element that puts the control on the screen. I just want to change the name of it to output. We'll see how we can use that later. Now let's come back to the project and right-click and select Add a Class. Generally speaking, when you're working on a .NET project and you want to create a class, you're going to put that class in its own file with the same name as the class. We want an employee class, so I'm going to create employee.cs and click Add. That gets added to my project. And now I can introduce some state. So I could say public string name. That is a field that's on my class. If I actually want to use that, then I could write some code inside of this class, which is the code behind for my window. So this executes when the program runs and that window shows up on the screen. Now, I'm not going to be able to say employee.name because name is a field. It's not associated with the employee class. It's associated with an instance of that class. So let's construct an instance. We'll call it E1, and we'll use the new keyword to tell C# that we want a new instance of employee. So it'll pick up this cookie cutter and stamp out a new employee object. That will allow us to say e1.name equals Scott. And if I want to show that, I can walk up to that text block that we put on the screen. Remember, we named it output. You'll see that's available to me here. And it has quite a few, it has a lot of properties that we can set, but the one that we're interested in is the text property. This is the text that we want to display on screen. So we'll say that that equals e1.name. And let's run this program, and you'll see that we get a Scott on the screen. There we go. So let's close that. Now I told you you can construct multiple instances of an object, and that's certainly true. So I can say employee E2 equals a new employee, and this employee's name is Poonam. And then for the output, let's concatenate some strings. So I'm going to say e1.name and then add a space plus e2.name, and we'll run this program again, and you see we get Scott and Poonam on the screen.